And suddenly, the car doesn't feel like it wants to go where you're pointing it anymore. That's not just a tire problem. At highway speed, that becomes a control problem in about half a second. And the scary part is, a lot of blowouts don't start with some dramatic warning. They start with small stuff people ignore for weeks. Low pressure, old rubber, worn tread, a bulge they meant to check later. Most people think the tire just failed out of nowhere. Sometimes that's true, but a lot of the time, it didn't. It was building up quietly. And if you're doing 70 when it happens, small mistakes get serious fast. If you like simple car advice without the shop fluff, subscribe, because this is exactly the kind of problem that's boring right up until it turns into a highway emergency. Blowouts are different from a lot of other car issues because they happen fast, they mess with stability, and they don't give you much time to think. A weak battery usually gives you a bad morning. A bad tire can give you the worst 10 seconds of your drive. So here are 8 practical things that really lower your risk. The biggest one for most drivers is tire pressure, and not just checking it whenever you happen to remember. You want to check it when the tires are cold. That means before you've been driving, not after a commute, not after a gas station stop halfway through the day, and not after the tire has already heated up. Once you've been driving, the air inside expands and the reading goes up. That can trick you into thinking the pressure is fine when it's actually low. And guessing by looking at the tire is almost useless. Modern tires can look pretty normal and still be underinflated enough to create extra heat. That extra heat is what starts setting the stage for failure. Also, don't use the number printed on the tire's sidewall as your target. That number is not your car's recommended pressure. The number you want is usually on the sticker inside the driver's door. That's the cold pressure your vehicle was designed around. This next tip sounds basic, but it probably prevents more tire trouble than people realize.
Don't keep driving on worn-out tread. People put this off all the time because the tire still has air in it. It still rolls, and replacing tires is expensive. I get it. But low tread means less grip, less water evacuation in the rain, and more stress when the road is hot. That sounds small until it happens at highway speed. If you can stick a penny into the tread and see all of Lincoln's head, or if the tread is down near those built-in wear bars across the grooves, you're past the point where you should be trying to squeeze more life out of it. And this is where people get caught off guard. A tire doesn't have to be completely bald to be a problem. If it's worn down enough, especially in summer heat or heavy rain, it has less margin. Less margin is exactly what you don't want on the interstate. The next habit is so simple it almost feels too obvious, which is probably why so many people skip it. Actually look at your tires. Not while you're walking past the car with your phone in your hand. I mean really look. Check for cracks, cuts, nails, chunks missing from the tread, and uneven wear. If you ever see a bubble or bulge in the sidewall, take that seriously. That's not cosmetic. That can mean the internal structure of the tire has been damaged. Uneven wear matters too. If one edge is wearing faster than the other, or the tire looks feathered or cupped, that can point to alignment problems, suspension issues, or pressure problems. Normal drivers can catch a lot just by paying attention. You do not need to be a mechanic to notice that one tire looks different from the others. And the next one is where a lot of drivers get a false sense of security. Don't overload the vehicle. A lot of blowout risk comes from heat and stress, and extra weight adds both. Family road trip, 5 passengers, a trunk full of luggage, a cooler, tools, maybe a hitch carrier, maybe you're towing something too. All of that changes what the tires are dealing with. People often don't think about this until the tire pays the price. Your vehicle has load limits for a reason. When the weight goes up, underinflation becomes even more dangerous, and the tire has to flex more, which builds more heat.
Now, to be fair, not every bad tire gives you a warning, but a lot of them do. And overload is one of those things drivers don't feel immediately. The car still moves, so it feels fine, until the conditions line up the wrong way. Another big one is tire age. This is the one that fools careful people. A tire can look decent and still be too old to trust at highway speed. Rubber ages over time, even if the tread still looks usable. Sun, heat, storage conditions, long periods of sitting, all of that affects the tire. So if you've got a low mileage car, a car that sits a lot, trailer, an RV, or a weekend vehicle, don't assume the tires are safe just because they don't look worn out. Old tires can become more failure-prone even when they haven't been driven much. If you're not sure how old they are, check the DOT date code on the sidewall. It tells you when the tire was made. This is one of those boring habits that can save your life, because age-related tire problems don't always advertise themselves. Then there's rotation and alignment, which sounds like regular maintenance, because it is regular maintenance, but it also matters for safety. If your tires aren't rotated on schedule, some of them wear out faster and in stranger patterns than others. If your alignment is off, one tire can end up doing way more punishment than it should. Over time, that creates weak points, and weak points show up at the worst time, usually when the tire is hot and loaded and moving fast. Prevention here is way cheaper than replacing a damaged tire early, and a lot cheaper than dealing with a crash. And if you only remember one thing from this video, make it this. Tire failure is often the end result of neglected small stuff, not one sudden random event. You also need to respect heat. Hot pavement, high speed, long highway runs, and low pressure are a bad combination. Summer road trips are harder on tires than many drivers realize. Even good tires are working harder in extreme heat. If your tires are already a little low, a little old, or a little worn, that extra heat buildup can push them closer to failure. So when it's brutally hot out and you've been cruising at highway speed for a long stretch, ease up a bit. You don't need to crawl, but you also don't need to treat the interstate like a racetrack. And here's the part most people skip, even though it's one of the easiest things on this whole list. Before a long highway drive, do a quick tire check. 2 minutes, that's it. Check the pressure, look at the tread, look for visible damage. Think about how much weight you've loaded into the car, and make sure the spare is there and usable. Not just technically present, actually usable, because a flat spare helps nobody. If you've ever had a tire scare on the highway, or if you've got a pre-road trip habit that saved you once, let me know in the comments. Those real experiences help other drivers more than people realize. One quick thing before we wrap up. If a blowout actually happens, the goal is control first, panic never. Hold the wheel firmly with both hands. Don't slam on the brakes. Gradually ease off the accelerator, keep steering where you want the vehicle to go, and let the car slow down once it's stabilized. Then move over and pull off safely when you can. The mistake that makes things worse is usually panic braking or jerking the wheel. That's really the whole message here. Blowouts feel sudden, but many of the causes build up slowly. Underinflation, worn tread, damage, overload, age, heat, skipped maintenance. None of that is exciting, but that's exactly why people ignore it. A 2-minute tire check before a highway drive is a whole lot better than trying to save a car that just lost a tire at 70 miles per hour. Subscribe if you want more practical videos that help you catch problems before they get expensive or dangerous. Because the best car emergency is the one you prevented in your driveway.